if there's an extreme case with behavior, what I like to do is I like to educate the families, and I also like to do therapy with the child and the family and discuss like what's going on in the family to support the child. Because if you don't work with the family and what's going on with the family, then it's going to be hard to help that child to make progress. So we're going to move forward. So a mand is basically just a request, telling a child to do something, whether it is pick something up or with your mouth. If the child doesn't understand that, it is pointing to something. It's the least restrictive or least intrusive thing that you can do in order to get that child to do something that you want that child to do. Sometimes you can use a sign. Sometimes you can use a picture. Sometimes it is something written. And you don't have to say the same thing over and over and over again. And you pause and you expect that child to make progress. You expect of that child to do what it is that you're asking of that child. And I don't care if it's a child who is extremely high functioning, or when I say high functioning, I mean the cognitive capacity is savant, or a child who is low functioning and you think or they haven't been able to get get a cognitive reading on that child yet. I want you to give a mand, do this, or even if it's just you telling the child to follow what you're doing with imitation. If they can't hear what you're saying and do what you're saying because you don't think they understand what you're saying, a man can simply be you having them to imitate you. So for instance, if I'm going in and I'm doing an evaluation and the parent is like, well, my child doesn't understand, I'm going to push that child to their limits, and I'm going to make that child do something in order for them to get something from me. Even if it's do this, even if it's do this, and I put my hand on top of their hand and make them do what I'm telling them to do, with hand over hand imitation, until they can do it, but they have to do it on their own. So I am doing hand over hand with them and showing them to do this until they're doing it on their own without me doing the hand over hand imitation. So a man is simply a request and expecting of them to do what you're asking them to do. So if it's a child with average ability of cognition, you can tell them to pick up the sock, and you expected them to pick up the sock. They can have a temper tantrum, but you expect them to pick up the sock, and they're supposed to pick up the sock. So at the beginning stages of a man training, the most potent reinforcers should be used. So if it's something like, if you know your child really likes chocolate popsicle sticks, then when you're teaching a child to follow through with your requests, then you should only use chocolate popsicle sticks in this stage. Okay. So if you're having a hard time to get this baby to listen to you, to follow through with your requests, only use chocolate popsicle sticks during this time, because you want to pair the potent or the chocolate popsicle sticks with this baby following through with what you're asking of him or her. And this is going to let this baby know that you're only going to get this chocolate popsicle stick if you do what mommy or daddy or the clinician tells you to do in this moment. And you're not giving this chocolate popsicle stick to this baby at any other time. He can cry, he can jump, he can fall out on the floor, as long as he or she is not hurting themselves. And they can do it for 15, 20, 30, 45 minutes. As long as they're not hurting themselves, you hold out on that chocolate popsicle stick until they do what it is that you ask of them. So when I am doing evaluations, and it's not therapy, I want to show parents that although other clinicians have and other people have come in and evaluated your child, and you think that your child doesn't know anything and you think that your child can't do anything, I'm going to show you that your baby can make progress. I don't care if I have to stay for 2 hours, and usually a clinician will stay for 30 minutes to say, oh, the evaluation is over. I'm going to show you that your baby can make progress. We're going to stay, and you're going to see that if I hold out long enough, your baby can do what it is that I'm asking your baby. And we're going to see what it is that your baby can do. So I want you to find something very potent that your child it really, really likes. And I want you to give your child a request that you know that your child can do. And I want you to only use that potent reinforcer for that request that your child can semi-do, but I want you to get your child to do that request. I want you to get your child to follow through with that request, and only use that reinforcer. So if it is a video game that your child really, really likes, only use that video game for 2 minutes as a reinforcer after he or she does what it is that you're asking him to do. So a high functioning child, and you want him to maybe write a paragraph. If he's in the 6th grade, write a paragraph, but staying on topic and doing it on his own, or getting him to engage with his peers for 10 minutes or 5 minutes. That's a child on the spectrum who is high functioning, who may not do well with peers, may not engage with his peers. It just depends on the situation. They may lose interest in items being used. So you might want to discontinue using the same items during the man training. So you want to pick and choose different reinforcers. And we have something called a reinforcer inventory list. So you know what your baby likes and does not like. And you want to use a list of, you want to use, get a list and put together things that you are familiar with that your child likes. And whatever you think is going to really get your child to work for something are the things that you want to use, and only set those things aside for when you're working on requesting or amending with your child. And when you get that child to follow through with what you're asking of that child, expect for your baby to follow through with that request every single time from now on. And then when other people come around, have that same expectation for your baby. And I'm just going to give you guys an example right here. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. This right here is JJ. JJ is my family member, and I don't see him often. I may see him maybe like once every year. And I used to see him a lot when he was little, but my cousin, she moved away. So he can speak in sentences. However, my cousin, it's a lot going on in the household, and they don't require for him to speak in sentences. So when I come around, I'm not going to allow him to just, sometimes he barks like a seal, and sometimes he will poke you and do things that are inappropriate, and I don't like it, and I let him know that this is not appropriate. And I'm stern with him, as you can see, and I make him speak clearly so that we can understand what he's saying. And I gave him a man what I wanted him to say, and then he had to repeat exactly what I needed him to say in order for him to get the reinforcer. I don't know what it was. It was some kind of food right there. So here's another example. And I withheld it until he followed through with what I asked of him. So he wanted to get away with just saying toy, and then he wanted to get away with saying a shorter sentence, but I wanted him to string everything together. And he played for a little bit. So when requesting, most of the time for him, he likes edibles, and I wanted to get him away from edibles and incorporate toys with him. I tried to incorporate bubbles with him, but the thing that is most potent for him is French fries. So I tried to get activity. So engaging with him, like the one-on-one is good for him. He has 4 other siblings. Finding activities that can engage with children on the spectrum that can get their attention. You want to find things that will engage them. You want to find things that will keep their attention, and to be reinforcers other than just edibles. And things that will cause them to want to ask for something. And you want to try to get them to show appropriate behaviors. So if they're engaging in inappropriate behaviors, you want to change their inappropriate behaviors. That's one way that you can incorporate manned and reinforcement in situations. So, and efforts should continue to be reinforced to avoid frustration. Okay, so if it's a situation where, like it's in a grocery store, that's not a situation where you want to work on manned and reinforcement. If it's like a Saturday and it's a lazy day and you know that it's not going to be very demanding, that's a time where you can work on manned and reinforcement. If it's like a lot of family coming over and you know that his or her emotions are going to be heightened, it's going to be sensory overload, that might not be a time where you want to work on manned reinforcement. You want to have the situation be a calm situation for your baby, and you want them to have room where you know that they are going to be successful. So you want to set them up for success, and you want them to feel successful, and you want to praise them also. In the situation with JJ, we actually worked for an hour. We recorded for an hour, and I did a lot of praising for him. This is going to be the last video because I want to have time for questions.
Let go of it. Let go. No. Let go of it. No. No. Let go of it.
Go away. Let go away.
Put your hand down.
Let it.
You're not listening. Hand down. Not okay. Not okay. You have to wait now.
Wait.
So he's not used to waiting. He's used to being alone. Like he's not used to engaging. He's used to not used to demands being placed on him. He's not used to the one-on-one. I'm gonna stop sharing. He's not used to like the one-on-one engaging. He's not used to the like the sternness. He's not used to someone making him speak in sentences, and he's not used to having to man for items. So we also had French fries a little before that, and I had him man for each French fry, and he had to say, "I want, please." So he was tired, but he didn't have an attitude with me. I'm looking at the screen. He didn't have an attitude with me. He was pleasant throughout the entire situation because he really enjoyed engaging. So that's one thing that children on the spectrum, they do want to connect. They do want the one-on-one. They need the A to B to C. They need help connecting the dots. They need help to connect with others. They need help connecting. So you're going to have to help your baby connect. You're going to have to do it on a consistent basis. They're going to need help. You're going to have to set boundaries with them. It's okay if they have tantrums. It's okay if they have a tantrum for 20, 30 minutes. I'm going to say, put your hair up in a bun. I'm going to say, get yourself a towel because you're going to sweat initially. But if you stick to it and follow through with not giving in, with giving them the reinforcer until they follow through with your man doing what you ask of them, then you will notice that the tantrums will dissipate. You will extinguish the tantrums if you stick to what you have put in place. You tell them to do something, you expect of them to do it, and you follow through with the reinforcer after they've done it. If the reinforcer is praise, praise them, praise them, praise them, praise them. If the reinforcer is the chocolate popsicle stick and you know that that is something that they will work very hard for, only give them the chocolate popsicle stick when they do what it is that you're asking of them. And it's a task that you've been working with them to do. So we're going to stop right there, and also make sure that it is you're teaching them mans in moments when it's a chill time. It's not a time where their sensory, there's room for sensory overload, and they are, you know, there's room for them to be successful. So I want you guys to make sure you follow us at Giving Hope LLC. We're on Twitter. We're on mostly Instagram and Facebook. If you have any questions, this is your time to ask questions. Pretty soon, we're going to be rolling out some other things for you guys, and we will be presenting another free presentation next first Thursday. Does anybody have any questions? We have a few more minutes before we say goodbye. I didn't mute you guys, so you can unmute yourselves.
I have a question.
Yes.
My name is Samantha, and I work with a family who has like low functioning autism.
Okay.
One of the things that I'm seeing is a lot of triggers. He doesn't have any cues. Like when he's really impulsive, and his trigger is when his parent says no. So do you have any tools that I could provide to help the family? Because whenever he has the tantrum, he gets aggressive, where he puts hands, bites, scratch, punch the parents.
So why are they saying no?
And that's what we're training the parents to do, is like if he says, "Mom, can I have something?" They said no, but he doesn't give them the time to actually finish what they're saying. So I said, okay, why don't we switch that to, how about giving him a time frame where, you know, you're being transparent and upfront, like a time frame will work better. And also I've been doing this thing called a color wall, because since he's unable to verbalize how he's feeling, the color wall just say, "Hey mom, I need time out for a minute. I just need a hug," or "I'm just not happy. Can you talk to me?" type of colors that indicate, you know, to prevent all these triggers and aggression that he's displaying at home.
So if no is his trigger, why don't they give him a choice? How about we do this first, this, then this?
Okay.
So first this, then this.
Mm-hmm.
They can give him options. And if that is totally out of the question, they can, I would say, he should have a visual schedule of items that he can choose from. Like if it's a task that he is asking for and no is the answer to the task, he should have a visual schedule of items that he can choose from. If it's foods that he's asking for, then they should have a visual schedule of menu of items that he can choose from the visual menu. No, how about, Tyler, we look at the visual schedule of items that you can choose from. Tyler, today, these are the items that you can choose from, but tomorrow that can be on your list. How about today you choose from this list, and then we can put that on your list tomorrow instead of them saying no.
Gotcha. And I was also telling them, like, I know mom gets overwhelmed because she has, her children with disability and stuff, but it gets overwhelming with him being aggressive to himself and them. Like, what are some ways to help with that? Because I know parents, they call mobile crisis. He's been in inpatient care, and it's becoming a thing where, we stepped in to help and try to see if we can navigate some of those tantrums. But it just seems like I want to be able to properly educate the parents on, information regarding that.
How old is the child?
He is 8.
He's 8. And how many children are in the home?
Just 2, just him and his brother.
So the parents are going to have to be proactive about everything. They're going to have a very structured schedule. They are going to have to be consistent, and like they're going to have to implement a structured schedule. And I'll give you a visual.
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to have to color code a schedule like this. Can you see this?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can.
They're going to have something like this, and they're going to have to put it on the wall. And they're going to have to stick to it. They're not going to be able to like roll out of bed and just fly by the tails of their suits. They're going to have to be consistent with the schedule. Like Tyler's going to get up at this time, and we're going to work on sensory. They're going to have to incorporate mindfulness with him. They're going to have to like incorporate things that are soothing for him. They're going to have to work on teaching him how to express himself, and they're going to have to incorporate consequences for his behaviors.
Okay, that's good. I'm going to actually bring that to them. Thank you so much for, helping me with that, because I could just tell that it's not only an issue at home, it's also an issue at the school, even with an IEP plan in place.
And everybody should be talking as a team, and he definitely should have consequences for his actions. And he should not have access to he should have consequences. Absolutely. He should have chores. He's 8 years old. He should have chores.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know about that. I mean, these are new to my caseload, but I'm in the process of unraveling more about the family history, him, and a lot of those triggers that I see even when I speak to the family on a weekly basis.
So do an ABC chart. Have the family collect data for a week or two of when the behaviors are occurring. So the A is the antecedent, the B is the behavior, and the C is the consequence, and the times of day that the behaviors are occurring, and the school as well. And create a functional behavior assessment with that ABC chart, the ABC data that you collected from the parents and the teachers. As a team, you guys do an FBA, and then as a team, you guys create a behavior intervention support plan for him for home and school, where they're talking together and implementing them together consistently. He's getting ABA therapy at home?
No, he is due to have a psychological, but we haven't got the date yet. But that was the number one thing that we felt like he needed to help him with those tantrums, especially at 8. And we were going over a crisis safety plan, and we realized that he has no cues. Like usually kids will have like the whole pacing or rubbing of the the hands or something to notify the parents that he's getting escalated. He just impulsively hit, bite, scratch, punch immediately.
What does the parents do when he does this?
So mom is severe epileptic, so she stay at home. She has another child that is hard of hearing, so he's homebound. Dad works at a lawnmower place, so the time he gets home is for lunch, and he gets off work at 5:30. So that's when us, the state, came in because he had many admissions to inpatient. And they were like, okay, we need another plan in place because he's going into the hospitals way too much.
When he engages in this behavior, what do the parent like? What is their response to him behaving like this?
So I think mom just allows him to hit. Dad holds him for 3 hours. I don't think they really have like a solid to go to thing when he gets to this point. Or they will call mobile crisis, and mobile crisis will bring him to his therapist, and then therapist will 1013 him.
What's a 1013?
I'm sorry. Well, when they direct him to the inpatient hospital.
And then they like sedate him?
No, they don't sedate him. He stays there for observation. I'm in Georgia, so I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so like they will send, well, he's a child, so they will send him to the hospital and monitor him for 5 days. He'll be at a home for 5 days or more, depending on how he's acting in the unit.
Okay.
It's like a crisis center for kids.
So I would suggest ABC data for 24 hours for 2 weeks, and in the home, in the school, and an FBA, a functional behavior assessment, and the whole team comes together and creates a behavior intervention plan. He needs a ABA therapy within the home. Is his diagnosis autism?
It is.
Okay. So yes, he's definitely aware of what he can get away with and with whom. He definitely needs to understand his emotions and be able to express it. He needs an outlet. He needs support in being able to express his emotions. He's asking for that.
Yeah, that's what I gathered up from meeting with him first. And I was asking them about the structure, and they're like, well, we got him on a schedule, but I wonder if it's not as strict. And I also tried to help the family implement stuff that they could do to keep him active. Either, doing some sensory games or being able to help out more so it could trim down these tantrums that he's displaying in the home.
Well, he's definitely in charge. He's definitely in charge of some things over there. He's running some things over there.
Yeah.
But I hope that was helpful. You definitely can shoot me an email. You can shoot it to admin@givinghope.llc.org. I want to see if anybody else has any questions. I hope that was helpful. I think
yes, it was really helpful. Thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Does anybody else have any questions? Okay. So
I think someone was trying to get in.
I don't see it.
Michelle Williams.
Michelle Williams. Michelle.
Yeah. Sorry.
Don't be sorry. I'm sorry, Michelle. I'm sorry. Somebody just told me that you were trying to get in, and we're wrapping up, but this was recorded. Does anybody have any questions? We can definitely.
I think we need way more of these, Dr. Burgess. So many times there's not enough families with enough understanding of their child. They just let things be. And I feel sorry for this family because it just sounds like they don't have the proper support that they need for their son. Because I have a 10-year-old with autism, and he has acted out aggressively. He has been extremely impulsive. And when he was nonverbal, he went from all the way nonverbal to telling me really how he feels. And the truth of the matter is, you have to find what it is that the child wants. And what you said earlier, connecting is something that they do thrive on. So you have to find their little niche. When he was nonverbal, we had little photos, these pictures that pointed to the juice, the refrigerator, the cookie, the toy, the anger, the I'm feeling frustrated, the chart that shows the moods, and they can point to those things. And that is a dialogue. Believe it or not, is some way that you're communicating with the child without letting him know that it's okay for him to act like that. And I understand, Dr. Naima, because you said that the parents have to say no. And it's okay to say no.
Yeah.
But he's, I feel like, they just need resources like you are, an inspiration and a gem. We need a lot of this.
Well, I am crafting something for you guys. It's coming. It's going to roll out in a few months. I'm putting everything up on the internet for you guys. It's going to be at your fingertips. It's going to be at your fingertips. At the push of a button, you guys will be able to go and look at the brain and go and look at, what am I supposed to do if my baby is 2 and doing this? You guys will be able to see it. So it's coming. I'm putting it together right now.
That's me clapping.
So that's what we're putting together. So yes, and my buddy Riley, like he's made a lot of progress. He's like, you guys.
He went from a kid who was suspended all the time to honor roll status.
Yep. So
and he told his counselor, why would I tell my counselor about the times that I got suspended? I'm a new person. That's the old me. Which is really nice that he can identify that I was like that before, but he learned tools to help him cope. I mean, trust me, we still go through it. Just this morning was an issue, but you roll with the punches. And I think the more support you have, the better. It takes a village, and we're finding our village, and we need good leaders like you, Dr. Burgess.
Thank you. So guys, we're going to get cut off. I thank you guys for being here. Come back first Thursday. And I hope to have some great information for you guys. God bless you. Be blessed and continue to be a blessing. Make sure you follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, Giving Hope LLC. All right. Have a good night, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye-bye.